So, okay, so we're recording. So, Leanne Sheargold, it's an absolute pleasure to have you today. You're a very special guest, sitting over in Broken Hill in Australia. How are you, Leanne?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. I just thanks so much for coming on today and talking about your new business venture, which is My Sacred Contract,
Yep.
which is a spiritual business. So yeah, why don't you tell us all about it? Because you're probably better introing yourself than me. So yeah, I'd love
Sure.
to hear all
Yeah.
about it.
So My Sacred Contract is all about helping women to start their businesses. So lots of women have a great idea, but they just don't know how to get there or how to make it happen. Sometimes women also might have started a business, but then they've lost the passion or the joy or the motivation. They're just sort of lacking clarity, and they're not really sure if that's the direction of their business that they want to go in. So that's where people come and work with me. And the first thing we do is we do a sacred contract business plan, and that involves me, my client, and their guides. And I connect with their guides so I can see, feel, hear, even their personalities come through. So yeah, I'm fully aware of what they're saying, and we have like a three-way conversation. So I'm the person in the middle, and the guides are talking to me, and then I'm talking to my client. So usually I get the client to just start with telling me a bit about their business and what's happening in their life, what sort of brought them to wanting to work with me and to get a business plan. And then from that, the guides just take over, and it's like bomb, 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 bomb. It just, yeah. So they just talk for about an hour and a half with me, constantly trying to keep up or telling them to slow down. And they're a lot like school kids at times, because they start bickering and fighting and well, not fighting, but they're all trying to get their point across and talking over the top of each other. And I'm like, I can't keep up, or I can't hear all of you talking. So they are really enthusiastic and keen to want to share and help the person who they're with. So it's really, I feel lots of gratitude and honoured to be privileged to be in this position to get to know my clients really well. And because really when I'm doing the business plan, I do get a little sneak peek into their life as well. But I don't go into, with the business plan, it's just about the person's business plan and what's happening with their life. It might go a little bit into the person's mindset and how they're perceiving their business and the emotions. But I definitely don't talk about relationships with their family or their kids or their husbands or the neighbour next door, or predict the lottery numbers or anything like that. It's purely focused on the business and the person's mindset and growing their mindset, and possibly even involving some self-love and nurturing themselves and filling their own bucket so that they can keep having the energy to move forward in their business.
That's fantastic, because it's such a unique business idea. I mean, I've never heard of anybody doing that before. And it sounds like it's definitely very kind of enticing to want to know kind of what these guides that you walk around with have got to say about your business. So how did you actually get into starting this business? Like, where did that idea come from?
Yeah, interestingly, as a child, I would often play with the fairies, and I don't know, I'd open books, like I read lots of Enid Blyton books, and the fairies would just jump out of the books, or I would fall into them, or something along those lines. Often I would dream events that would happen, but that was mainly to do with family members. And people would come to my parents' house, and I would know that they've just had a fight with their wife about such and such. Or I'd be out, when I started going to school, because I left school when I was 15, and people that I worked with, I would know things about them. And so often I just would blurt things out, as you do when you're young. And yeah, I would often get really weird looks because of the things that I knew. So I had to really learn when was appropriate to share and when wasn't appropriate to share.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
is it,
then
sorry. Was that a gift that that came down through your family as well? So were you very alone at that time when you were 15, kind of wondering, what is this and how do I handle it? Did you have any guidance at that stage from anybody else in your life, or was this just something that you were dealing with on your own?
Yeah, no, it was because of the things that I would know about people and would dream about people. my family didn't really like it. It wasn't so. Yeah, I wasn't aware of anyone in the family that could do this. Now that I'm older, a couple of my cousins are also, they have those gut feelings and that intuition and dream things. So it's lovely now as an adult to be able to talk about that when we were together as kids. But at the time as a child, I had no idea that no one really to talk to or share about it. And at that time, there was no internet or anything like that. So it wasn't even like I could look up more information about it. I was just sort of going about my life thinking this was normal and that everyone could do this, until I sort of, by me sharing the different things and people's reactions, realising that really, no, that wasn't the case.
Yeah. And so when did you come to terms with the fact that you did have a gift and that this was something that you could use, or obviously in your business, but also in your own personal life?
Yeah, well, it wasn't really until a lot of years later. So like I turned 50 this year. So I was probably about 45 when I reconnected back in with my spirituality. And at that time, I was very overwhelmed with work and like in a mental burnout situation. And I was hating life and hating myself. And I knew that I just couldn't continue like that I had to do something about it. So I decided to do meditations and so I set myself this little challenge that every day I was going to try to meditate, and I really emphasize the word try, for 5 minutes. And I had no idea what I was doing or anything about it, but I was going to try however I could. And it really just progressed from there, because I found that doing the meditation each day, the more regular I did it, the better I got at. It was like, I'd put the music on and my mind would just drift with the music. It was like the music and the beats and the rhythm just sort of overtook my body, and I was just flowing along in that tune. So I was able to relax. And that was a strategy that I used a lot to go to work each day, because I really wasn't coping with working. So I'd have to do this meditation and get in the right, relaxed, calm mindset to then, convince myself to go off to work, basically.
Yeah.
So that was a really saving grace for me, was the meditation and how the benefits that I found from doing that. And slowly over time, I went from 5 minutes to 10 minutes and then progressing slowly out to 30 minutes. And like even to today, mostly I meditate maybe for about 30 minutes. Occasionally, maybe once a week, it might be 60 minutes. But I even have bad days where 2 minutes and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this any longer and I've got to give up. So so that's sort of where I started, was with the meditation. But then I found that I was starting to hear my guides like through my ears, which is clairaudience. So, and I was becoming aware more of the gut feeling that you get, that lots of people get, but they sort of just dismiss it. Oh, it's just a gut feeling. And then that knowing was really, so both of those were really building, the gut feeling and the knowing about different people and situations, or knowing that you walked out the door and the keys are still on the bench inside, and different things like that. And then the hearing started, being able to hear my guides. So things really started to progress slowly. And then because I love oracle cards, and at first I used them to communicate with my guides, and then I started journaling. And once I started the journaling with my guides, like just doing automatic writing, and again it was like a form of meditation. I'd just put the music on and I'd start writing, and that's when my guides would I'd hear them in my ear and I'd just be writing what they said down. And most days I'd come back in the afternoon and read what I had written, and there was things in there that I didn't even remember writing. It was like I sort of went into a bit of a trance. Like I still hear my husband and all the noises around me, but I really couldn't remember what I had written while I was writing. It's like I was really focusing on what they were saying rather than really taking notice of what I was writing.
Wow, that's so interesting. And so I just picking up onto something you said then about your intuition and listening to your gut.
Mhm.
When you came up to that moment of going, okay, I've got to start meditating, there was that obviously your body telling you that you had to make changes as well, and that disconnection I think we sometimes have within ourselves where uh, we're not in alignment with what we're doing. We know that our body is telling us if you continue going down this path, this isn't going to, it's unhealthy. You're in an unhealthy mindset. You've got
Mhm.
anxiety or whatever it is that's going on. Did you find that was kind of happening for you? That sort of, and you weren't listening to your intuition at that point. Is that?
Yeah, that's what I found a lot, and even looking back on my life, I can see the repeated patterns.
Mm,
So I've had a few health issues throughout my life, and each time was like the warning it was like a signal that I was doing too much, that I needed to reconnect with my guides and really look at my life and reflect on what I was liking and what I wasn't liking. And I just ignored that and kept pushing on. So then when I got unhealthy again, it was a bigger form of health issue, and then a bigger one again, until I sort of got at that point where I just, you know, mentally and physically just couldn't cope with life. I was hating myself and hating life, and nothing was bringing me joy. And life was a struggle. It was really a struggle. So um, that's when I sort of realised, because my husband and myself, we went away to the beach, and I love being near the beach, and I really didn't want to come home and go back to my job. So I was like, I can't continue like this. I need to be, in a better frame of mind, and liking myself, finding some joy, because everything was, I couldn't think of any happy thoughts. It was just constant negative self-talk, telling myself I was stupid, or I was fat, or I was overweight, or I was ugly, or, everything. Just, I don't even remember thinking anything nice about myself.
yeah.
I was always critical and criticizing myself. And so, yeah, that was really what made me realize that I'd gone from loving my 9 to 5 job and giving 150% to that, to absolutely hating it and dragging myself through the day. So I'm like, something is not right here.
Yeah.
Um, so I suppose really up until that point, it was a bit like for me that my professional working life was on one hand and my personal life was on the other. And I was used to all the crap going on in my personal life and the health issues, but I hadn't been used to it happening in my work life, in my 9 to 5 job, where I had to go and be a professional in those hours. And so when it started to come across into the professional side, that's when and it started to have a big effect on me. That's when I was like, okay, this is getting out of hand, out of control. I need to really look at what's going on and make some changes here.
Mm. And it sounds like for you, being someone who has been deeply spiritual all your life and have had this gift since you were younger, and then it's somewhere along the line, it sounds like, that you disconnected from that. And it was kind of all those health issues maybe telling you to come back to this person that you are now, to start this amazing business, kind of helping to transform other people's lives. Um, do you sort of feel um, that was kind of what it was? That was that calling for you to sort of go back to your true nature of who you were as that spiritual kind of person, or that being?
Yeah, definitely. When I was younger, like I said, I left school and got a job at 15, was traveling into Sydney every day, met my husband, we ended up getting married and have children. But throughout all that time, I still was quite spiritual, and, I'd read all of the Doreen Virtue books, and I used to just soak her books up and try to apply everything that I was reading in it. But life was happening. I had 3 young boys under the age of 5. So I really didn't have time for my spiritual ability. At different times, the surge would come back and I'd pull out my oracle cards and start playing with them again. But then it sort of died down again because, the boys were sick, or life just happened. That just sort of,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, when I had when I was 28 and I had my stroke, the first one, my neurologist is like, you have so much stress in your body, you need to meditate to help release that. And at the time I thought he was absolutely crazy. I'm not doing that meditation junk. So I really dismissed it. I didn't really think about it, but I did sort of go back to reading more spiritual books. So it did sort of happen on and off throughout my life up until I was 45. But it wasn't, it was more like I was playing or dabbling or just reading a book about it and trying to apply it, and it wasn't happening. So I was like, oh, you know, it really sort of, I remember at the time when I went and did my teaching degree, that at the time I had friends saying to me that, you know, you really should be teaching all this spiritual stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know enough about it. I don't know. I mean, at that stage, I was like 90 kilos and my self-worth was in the toilet. I didn't think much of myself. I definitely didn't think I knew enough about spirituality to be teaching other people. I knew that I had, you know, different events, future events that were popping up, and at night I'd see orbs and see different people in the house, and that it used to freak my husband out, all of that. So yeah, I don't know, it just sort of came in and went out sort of thing, which I now know, you know, once I reconnected fully back to my guides, they were like, you were supposed to be doing this your whole life. Yeah. And now you're 45. So now we're going to speed things up. It's like, okay, bring it on.
It's really interesting because it just goes to show how easy we can become disconnected from who we are in life. As you said, when you're busy with kids and you're doing the run around and you're living the grind and you're just kind of surviving, which it's really kind of, I mean, that's how you ended up getting into work that you did before you've started this new business. I know you were working with women and men, or just with women, to help them through similar things like that with healings and stuff like that. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing, or how you got, when you sort of started at 45, where did you go from there?
Okay, yes. So I actually went, so one Christmas, another Christmas, after I'd been doing the meditation, doing that by myself, we went up to Queensland, and in the humidity was so high, it was really hot, and we were staying in a caravan with no air conditioning. So we're like, all right, let's just go to the shops and we'll be right for the day. And anyway, there was a shop, like a new age shop with crystals and books, and, you know, my sort of shop that I love to hang out in. But I had my husband with me, and I didn't think he'd go for it. And so anyway, we're wandering through, and then there was a lady that did psychic readings. And so I said to Glenn, I'm going to get one of these. And normally he's like, oh, that's a waste of money. Why are you bothering, sort of thing. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. And then so I asked, when it was my turn to go in, I asked if my husband could come in with me. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. And as soon as we sat down, she said to me, why are you paying me for a reading when you can do it yourself? And I was just like, my jaw just went, you know, I was gobsmacked. And I'm like, what do you mean? No, I can't. I don't know any of this stuff. She goes, yes, you do. And yeah, so she started asking me different bits and pieces of questions about dreams and colours and numbers and what do they all mean and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was really, I think it was great for Glenn to hear from her what she was saying about my spiritual ability, because, you know, I sort of I was definitely interested and keen and wanting to do it, but it was good for him to hear it from somebody else as well, because from that moment on, he then really supported me with, you know, going and doing different spiritual things. So when I got back to Broken Hill, I booked in and went and got my Reiki certificate, level 1 and 2. And then I started doing healings on people. Or I was more playing. I was playing on myself and Glenn and anyone who wanted a free one. I was like, yes, yeah, come on in. And but then I sort of noticed how quickly what I was doing was really growing in strength, and so then I was like, all right, I'm going to start charging something now. And so that was really growing and developing. And at the same time, I had started doing my meditation certificate. So I started with just with a few friends. I said, come over on a Wednesday night and let's do a meditation together. And so, yeah, I really sort of started my business just by playing and having fun with my friends. And then it really grew from that point on.
It's incredible. It's such an amazing story, because I'm sure there's lots of people out there that have had that gift as well from a young age,
Mm-hmm.
and or have thought that they've had it and not really listened to it and haven't sort of connected in with it. And it's, you know, at 45, you know, to where you are now, I mean, you're so knowledgeable and you know so much stuff. And the reason why I know that is because you're about to write a couple of books about it.
Yes,
And
yes.
you know, when I look at, you know, your 2 books that you're looking at writing, I mean, there's so much information in there that is going to be so helpful for people that you know, to obviously support your business. But you know, I'm very interested in the galactic. Tell me a little bit. I just picked that one out. Tell me a little bit about the galactic plane, or the galactic people, or whatever it is. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So, some of my guides are Arcturian, and Arcturian race are what people call aliens, and they come from a different planet, a different universe, and so there's a few different races that are up in our skies at the moment. So there's, you know, as I was saying, the Arcturians are who I work with a lot. So, you know, when I've been meditating, I go back to my spaceship basically in my room, and, you know, who I was and what I did when I was there, and why I came to the earth at this particular lifetime and what my mission is. So, and the Arcturians have been to earth many times, you know, throughout our history. They're such beautiful beings. Their energy is just so loving and nurturing, and yeah, it's so beautiful. And but the thing that I love about the Arcturians is they really, the energy that they put out to people is unconditional love, and also their spirituality is also a high priority that they have with their race. So all of the as children, when they go to school and they're learning about, you know, everything they're learning about, but they're also developing their spirituality. And at different stages, they do like a little test, I suppose, or a better word, I don't know if that's the word they call it. And if they might be, so if their levels are not appropriate for compassion or empathy or unconditional love or spiritual healing, then they go to like a little school to get that compassion level back up to where it should be for that age. So they're very highly intelligent, and they're healing, what I call healing, they call it technology. And so that's where it's a bit confusing, because for us, technology is like your computers and mobile phones and all that sort of thing. But for them, healing, technology is what we call healing, but they are so advanced in that. So they do holographic healing, sound healing, light frequency healings. They talk to telepathy. Is that right? Have I said it right? Yeah. So they don't actually speak with each other. They just communicate in each other's minds, and that's from a young age. So, and as I was saying, they're actually here. The spaceship is up hiding in the sun, so that we can't actually see them. But they're just one of many galactic races that are here with us. When I see them at night, it's like all their spaceships are all joined together. It's like they're having a part, you know, they can wander from their spaceship into other spaceships and communicate. And yeah, so it's pretty amazing who's up there already, and they're really helping the energy that's coming down to earth.
Yeah.
Helping all of us who are awakening. Next year, the 2020 is like a big year for, you know, with our spirituality and our growth. But also it's about, lots of people are starting to wake up that we need to have more compassion and kindness and empathy for ourselves, but also for each other. That, you know, material obsessions with possessions and, you know, all those sorts of things are really starting to not sort of fall down, but the focus purely on that is starting to shift. People are realizing that there's got to be more to life than me owning the biggest, flashiest TV. And, you know, all these secret societies that are out there, or old ways of thinking, are really starting to crumble and fall down because people are wanting, you know, are wanting more from life. They're wanting everyone to have more compassion and kindness towards each other.
Yeah.
So that's, so the galactic races are really helping with all of that as well, helping us all to evolve and to awaken, and just really getting rid of some of that old thinking and things that we used to worry about, like how many possessions we have and all that sort of thing. But that's really not the priority for our life. It's how we treat each other and how we interact with each other.
Yeah, that's incredible, because I mean, you know, we live on a planet. And I think sometimes we tend to sort of forget that we kind of live on a planet in the universe, and there's so much to this world that we don't know, or that we have known but we've lost along the way, which I know that we've had conversations about that before, about ancestral, you know, that this knowledge that people are coming to become more aware of. We always had this knowledge, but we've got lost. We've got lost along the way, and we're sort of coming back to remembering that. Which
I think that's a lot. The galactics, like the galactic races and Mother Earth as well, are all trying to help us reconnect back. So if you think about like the Aboriginal culture and the Native American culture, they would learn how to. They knew how to read the wind and the air and the water and, you know, all the different elements, and how to connect with their animals. And, you know, they gathered so much information and knowledge from the earth that they were walking under their feet. And all of us at the moment have lost a lot of that. You know, we just rely on our phone app to tell us what the weather is, or whatever, you know, whatever else. Where I think those old skills and old knowledge that we've lost, or mostly have lost, as they're starting to be awakened in particular people, to reconnect back with the wisdom that they've got from a past life, to bring that back back into the present world, and start to help people reconnect with, you know, back with their heritage and their culture and the ways of interacting with the earth and the planet.
Which, I mean, you can see it all happening everywhere. I mean, the world's going crazy. What's your prediction? Is it going to go crazy for a little bit longer before we all start to kind of realize that it doesn't work anymore? We need to all wake up. I mean, what do you think is going to happen over the next sort of few years?
Well, I think at the moment we're still going to have a fair few more surprises come out. You know, all of these celebrities and all these people in power positions. It's like their dirty linen and their skeleton closets are going to open and come out. So I know the energy really is pushing the truth to the surface. It's like nothing more can be hidden and, you know, closed quarters sort of thing. Everything is coming up. And even, you know, if people are thinking, oh, well, that one was dealt with and gone by, it's like it hasn't really been closed off. It's like it's time for the world and all the people to know the truth about situations and what is actually going on behind closed doors. So I think that's still going to be continuing to have to come out as well, because I know with different things that are happening at the moment, people are really focusing on wanting to know the truth of what actually went on. And being open. So, and really that's going to help everyone to be more open and speak their truth. And even people that maybe have been a bit of a victim of some of these things that have been happening, they might find the courage to speak up and speak their truth and have a voice as well. So that's definitely going to keep happening. But at the same time, there's so many humans around the world that are going to awaken to their spirituality. So it's like 122,000 people will be awakening. Some of those have already started. And and awakening to their spirituality, where it might just be where they're wondering, look, there's got to be more to life than this mundane day in, day out sort of life, that they can feel they're not happy and they're wanting to make changes. It might be as simple as that. It might be that they're wanting to learn more about their spirituality and their growth, or they're questioning what they've been told they've got to believe, and they want to go search for the answers themselves. It might be that they want to go higher in their spirituality. So there's a whole range of different levels of awakening that can happen. And then at the same time, there's all the young children that are being born, but also young kids that are already at a much higher spiritual level than lots of other people that are on the planet as well. So
just on that figure, 122,000, did you say 122,000?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not many, is it? Really, if you think about
that are awakening.
That are awakening, yeah. If you think about the world population, you think
no, that's right. But at those 122,000, they're basically like the leaders.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So as you're so right. That's not much as in the population of the world, but it's. Though they are the particular numbers of the people that need to lead us forward, in the next 150, 100 years. So they've already got their purpose of what they're being awoken to as leaders. And then from there, the numbers will start to grow and multiply and around the world.
It's just so fascinating. I mean, for me, it makes me feel excited because I've always questioned all this stuff in life. Nothing ever made sense to me. How we were living, the things I was told, how life was, the imbalances, I was just like, none of it ever made sense. So it's funny because this time for me, there's no fear for me. I'm just like going, hallelujah. Thank God. Thank God, but I know it's creating a lot of kind of, anxiety and fear for some people with the changes, because, with those changes as you said, there's job losses. It's lots of things kind of happening in corporate world, and, with different jobs and different, even in the film industry, like, the way that, that the way companies are functioning have changed. Jobs that used to, require maybe 20 people and now require maybe 3 people, or, all these changes are happening, which is creating so much fear and anxiety, which is amazing that you're being able to sort of take people through that process and work with them on a business level to be able to, to really kind of help that fear or help that anxiety in people.
Yeah, so for me, with the women that I've been working with, it's all about helping them to reconnect to the passion in their heart. Like, what do they really enjoy doing and what do they want to be doing? And it's all about, every day waking up with that passion for life, for what the day will bring. And so that's really, about helping women to go, tap into that, and then to believe that they can actually have their own business, that they're worthy of having their own business. So the first 5 weeks when they're doing the Sacred Contract program is where we actually look at what their fears are, and whether a lot of women have a fear of failure. Some have also a fear of success, but also what's holding them back. We also look at what their money values are that they've inherited from their parents, and what their beliefs are, and then we shift and change those. We do lots of healings and past life regressions, removing triggers, clearing emotions. So it's like really detaching the person from their story that has held them back or keeps dragging them under, and any form of like depression or anxiety or anything else. Lots of people are remembering trauma that they've had in their life, and that's stopping them from moving forward. So that 5 weeks is where we do all of that clearing so that they're able to believe in themselves. We also look at their self-worth and then work on building that up and expanding that. Then the next 5 weeks is where we look at their present mindset and really getting them to notice how much negative self-talk they do to themselves each day, and then shifting that, changing that around.
Mm-hmm.
Also doing, looking at an intention statement. So that's where we look at what their values are and their strengths, what sort of business they want to create, how they want their clients to feel when they're working, when they're finished working with them. And then from that intention statement, they then do some mirror work as well, where they're talking to their inner essence and their inner child. And that really connects in with your subconscious, and it makes those little shifts. It's like every day when you do this activity, you're switching and changing and clearing something else in your subconscious. So lots of big things start to happen and change when you're doing the mirror work as well. We also look at how much abundance you have currently in your life and how much you've got flowing to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we do a lot about your triggers and how much space you have to operate before you get to where you just want to cry or give up or throw it in, or it's all too hard. So we sort of expand the boundaries around those trigger words and those emotions. And then we move into 10 weeks to do with your business. And this is where we look at your business plan that you start with, and we decide on, from the guidance from your guides, what do you need to focus on first. So whether that might be an online program or a retreat or something else, but making sure that you also are excited and you have that passion and joy about doing that. Just because that's really important, that anything that you decide to do with your business, that you have that excitement, because that's going to be your driving force to help you move forward. So then we break that down into small sequential steps that you can achieve as you're going through. We also look at who your ideal client is, what your niche group is, lots of self-love activities. And we actually, when we plan out, if you're going to do a program in 2 months' time, we then plan all the little steps that you need to do to get there, making sure that your lead magnet matches your program, and your website and all those other sorts of things are all flowing together. A lot of the time also, when in that 10 weeks is where some fears might come back, and that's more so where you're doubting yourself, because when you're marketing and selling yourself and your programs, you've really got to keep your motivation high and your enthusiasm high. So so with that, whenever those fears creep back in, we just focus on doing a healing or whatever. When I tune into your energy, whatever you specifically need to help you keep moving forward in the direction of your business as well. So the program is very individualized. So it's very much like, a lot of my beta testing ladies have referred to me as like their mother, like as in nurturing and support, and I'm constantly there. And if they're having a bad day, they text me or ring me and we have a chat. And so, I'm like your biggest cheerleader and support person, constantly got your back and helping you move forward. But it's very specific to your needs. So if say for today, we were supposed to talk about your ideal client, but you've woken up not feeling very well and you're feeling really down and low, well, we look at what's going on, what's blocked in your body, and we shift and work on that. And then if there's time, we then move on to what we were supposed to discuss. So everyone is very individualized with what they bring in when they start with me, and also what they're wanting to achieve as well. So it's, I've got like the plan of the program, but it's definitely not, very rigid. It's a flowing energy that wraps around you and really helps you and supports you and heals different parts that you need to be healed, or basically whatever you need. If you need to come to my house and have a cup of tea and we just have a girls' chat, you can do that. But I'm in Broken Hill, so that's really hard. We can do it online instead.
It sounds amazing. It sounds so nurturing and just sounds so, it sounds like you cover everything, the business, the mindset, the loving yourself, your everything, your message, it sounds like a fully all-encompassing marketing, everything. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's really, when I finish, because originally it was only 12 weeks, but now after listening to the ladies' needs, I know that it needs to be for 20 weeks. But even when I've finished, it's like, it's sad because I'm like, I'm used to speaking for these ladies every week.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm in that privileged position because I've been able to, they've shared their life with me and what's been happening there. And I've been that support person for them. So, you know, it's sad on both sides that our time is finishing. But even since my ladies have finished, you know, I'm still keeping in contact with them, and whatever they're up to with their programs or whatever they're creating or they're about to launch, you know, they're sending me photos and saying, oh, what do you think of this? Does this look okay? And so, yeah, it just continues the relationship, so, which is wonderful as well.
Gosh, it must be so exciting to be able to do that for people, you know, as you said, looking back sort of 5-6 years ago where you're at, and now here you are kind of helping to transform other people's lives through your own passion and through what you've been supposed to be doing all your life, by the sound of it.
Yeah, that's right. It is. It's really exciting when I think back to my life. And I suppose also, really, when I think back, if I didn't go through all those lessons and health issues and trauma and everything else that went on in my life, it wouldn't have made me the person that I am now. And so my big why of why I'm doing this is that I really just want women to see that if I can do this, if I can overcome all the things that I've had to overcome, that they can do it too.
Yeah.
You know, that I'm not any special person. I'm just totally normal. Yeah, so if I can, you know, do what I'm doing, that they can as well. But it's really like this deep yearning of being of service to other people, and really helping women to break those stereotypes that society places on people and even friends. And, you know, oh, you can't start a business because you've got kids, or you don't have the money to do that, or those sort of stereotypes, you know, that if they believe in themselves, that they can achieve anything, because I definitely believe in them. So, yeah, that's, you know, that's my big why, is wanting to help women smash through that glass ceiling of money, and, you know, they can go for it, reach for the stars, basically.
And that kind of leads me actually to the question, which you kind of already almost answered it, which I kind of ask everybody, is if you've got any advice for someone who's wanting to make that change and they're sitting on the edge of, oh, I feel nervous and I feel scared and I don't know whether I should or not, what would you say to them? What's your advice to those people?
Okay, so I would say ring and book a chat with me. No, definitely, you know, if you actually feel in your heart excited about what you want to bring out into the world or birth, if you feel that excitement and you've got the drive, just go for it. Just, you know, don't listen to your ego telling you 50,000 reasons why you can't do it, or family or friends or husband saying, oh, it's stupid, it's just another one of your crazy ideas that you never do. You know, if you feel that excitement and that passion and that drive, then just go for it. You know, there's no harm in trying. Maybe do a bit of investigation, find out different things about it and see. Like, I just started with a Facebook page and that was it. I didn't have a website or anything fancy. I didn't even have Instagram. I just had a Facebook page, and then I created a group and invited my friends into my group, and then it just grew from there. So
that's good advice, actually, is just to start. Just start, and it grows and it'll become whatever it is. And sometimes I suppose what you think it's going to be, it becomes something different later on. It's just about being brave and making that first.
I mean, when I first started, I thought I would be doing meditation classes and all different types of meditation with a few Reiki healings. And so that was my idea a couple of years ago, whereas now that is just so different and so changed. So it's, as you said, it's all about taking action. You know, don't let that fear control you. By taking a little baby step forward each day, you're flexing your willpower and you're showing your fear that you're not going to let it control you. So for me, I absolutely refuse to let fear control me anymore. It's not stopping me from doing anything, especially when I feel in my heart that it's the right path. I feel excited. I feel enthusiasm, like it's like I'm drunk on the idea because it feels that good. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. So the little little trick that I do to help me with the fear is I'll straight away take a little baby step. Like I'll just maybe research the idea, or I'll look for pictures, just something so my fear can't start, because the longer you wait to start with your goal or your dream, the bigger the fear will grow, and then it stops you from moving forward. So yeah, as soon as you know that you absolutely want to do this, just take that little step. And I don't mean go to the top of Sydney Harbour and yell out, I'm opening my own business. It's like maybe just do a little research, or read a book about that topic, or create your banner for your Facebook group, or some little way that each day you can do a little bit more and a little bit more, so you're flexing that willpower and showing your fear and your ego that you're in control. You're the adult, not them.
Yeah, that's just such great advice. It's amazing advice. And so how can people get in touch with you? You've mentioned some Facebook pages?
Yes.
Websites, yeah.
Yes. So my spiritual group is called Pure Joy Sisterhood. Mm-hmm. So you can jump on there and I can add you to the group. My business page is Leanne Spiritualpreneur. Or just PM me, Leanne Sheargold. And I'm happy to have a chat with you if you've got any ideas of your business that you want to start, but you're just not sure how to take the egg to running around like a chicken, or you've got this desire or this calling that you've had, or this something in your mind that's telling you do it, especially starting for 2020. It's such a big year and really important for everyone out there who's thinking and wanting and desiring to start a business, to start in 2020.
I think it's true. Everyone's going through that sort of like 2020, I've got to get my life sorted. I need some goals. I need a plan. There's lots of that going on. So what I'll probably do is I'll put your links in when I post this video. I'll put some links in so people can connect with you and find out more about what you're doing. But it's just amazing. It's amazing to bring that transformation into people's lives and to be able to help them on their way through in a time of change. And I think that's where we need to be focusing on embracing change and feeling inspired and empowering each other and supporting each other through the way. So thanks so much for your time today. It's amazing. It's so good to chat to you. So honest, such an honest chat as well. Really honest. And again, that's such a lovely, vulnerable chat, and to hear all your honesty and your life journey as well.
Oh, thank you so much. It's a total pleasure. It's all mine for talking with you.
And we didn't get to talk about your books, but maybe we'll do that next time. We'll do a special chat about your books and what they are, and we'll go a little bit deeper, because I think people do find that information interesting. So stepping into the spiritual world is, how it all actually works. And I know that you're writing a lot of that in your books, so maybe we can come on and chat about that next time.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. I'd love to do that.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Leanne.
That's okay. Thank you so much for having me live, and I look forward to talking with you next time. Beautiful. And to all your people watching, just feel free, don't be shy, just message me and let's just have a chat and see what happens.
Perfect.
We'll go from there.
Brilliant. Get in touch with Leanne, guys.
All right.
Chat soon.
Bye.
Bye.